have you here. My name is Victoria Alejandra Olivo Berrio. I go by Vicky, and I will be your guide for today, hoping that we enjoy as much as we can here in Cartagena. And our driver is Samir. Let's give him a round of applause. Hey! No, that's not work that way. Samir is the second best driver in town. So, we are in really good hands. The first one is his wife. States, Brazil, Mexico, we have almost 50 million people. Our currency is Colombian pesos. If you have US dollars, $1 US is 4,000 pesos. In most of the places we go, they will take US dollars, and if they don't, they will take your credit card. Now, we only use the credit card indoors. Okay? You don't use the credit card with a street vendor. Last ship 2 days ago, I said that somebody forget it and they sweep her card 3 times. Didn't give her the merchandise. She had to claim with the bank for this transaction. She may get it done, she may not. Don't use your cards on the street. They can even, no way. Just indoors, you're safe. Colombia is recognized all over the world for so many things, but today we will focus on the good things. We got good things that Netflix doesn't show. So, we are recognized for coffee. We produce some of the highest world quality coffee. We don't have the best. The best is Blue Mountain from Jamaica. Yeah. Is somebody here from Costa Rica? No? But it's better than Costa Rican coffee. You know, they have an advertisement that says Juan Valdez drink Costa Rican coffee. They need Colombian coffee to do marketing. The reason why our coffee is so good is because it grows on hills. And because it grows on hills, we only pick the beans by hand. And we pick them when they look like a cherry. Because only at that point, coffee produces a natural sweeter called mucílago. And this mucílago is absorbed by the bean, and that makes our coffee to be naturally sweet. If you ever drink strong coffee, where are you from? Alaska, United States. Oh, most of you are from there, so you have a Starbucks. You know, if you get that coffee and it's bitter and it's over roasted, a strong coffee will kill you slowly. Because to get a strong coffee, you gotta do a dark roasting. And dark roasting means that you are over burning the beans. And that releases acidity on it, and that's what hurts your tummy and will give you gastritis. And the dark roasting also makes the natural sweetness turns into bitterness, and that's why people put sugar in the coffee. If you're drinking a good cup of coffee, it shouldn't need sugar. Okay? And today you will have plenty of places where you can get the best of our coffee. Now, in most of the places you go, they sell the coffee that we export. The good quality, we sell it to foreigners because locals cannot afford it. We drink what is left in the country. Yeah. So besides coffee, we're also recognized for emeralds. Colombia produces the highest quality emeralds all over the world. It's our national stone. and it's the birthday stone of the ones who were born in May. Somebody here from May? I am May 5th. You're 4th? Oh, we are Taurus. It's easier to cut off our head than change our mind. Okay, because you are a man and you will not wear emeralds, you can give it to your guy for birthday present. That joke never works. So, besides coffee and emeralds, we are also recognized for coal mines. We have one of the largest open pit coal mines of the world. Colombia has oil, we have nickel, we have gold, we have silver, we have oil. Yeah, we are a rich country in natural resources and flowers. Most of the flowers you get in North America, they come from Colombia and Ecuador. So Colombia is only 7 grades north of equator line, which means that we don't have seasons, okay? Here the weather goes according to the elevation. If you go to Bogota, which is up high hill, it's gonna be cold. Cartagena is on the sea level. So we got 2 seasons, hot and hell. If you go outside and you feel it's hot, believe me, it can always be worse. At this time of the year, we don't reach more than 90, 95 with 70% humidity. If you come in July and August or September, we go up to 120 with 90% humidity. So just for you to know that it's gonna be a cold day in Cartagena. Besides, well, because of the weather conditions, we have all the climates and allows agriculture in a large scale. Well, Colombia is divided by states. Well, we call it departamentos, you call it states. Bogota is the capital city of Colombia, and Cartagena is the capital of Bolivar state. Cartagena has 1.5 million people. The city is called Cartagena because when Spaniards came here and they discovered our inner bay, they realized that our inner bay was similar to the inner bay of Cartagena from Spain. And that's why we got named Cartagena. The full name of the city is Cartagena de Indias. The Indias because when Columbus came to the Americas, he thought he discovered the Western Indias. And then Spaniards sent people to colonize the territories. They developed the Road of Las Indias, which were the different stops that they make to get our treasures out. For being part of the Road of Las Indias, we are called Cartagena de Indias. And I forget. So we can name it Cartagena de Indias for that reason. Once the Spaniards came here and they developed the port, we were a port, we were an active port. The importance of the port was for the geographical position. If you see the map of America as a continent, the last country in Central America is Panama. Panama used to be part of Colombia. When Simon Bolivar got rid of Spain, he created the Great Colombia, which was Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, and Ecuador. So the last in Central America is Panama. The first one in South America, it's Colombia. We got Caribbean and Pacific. So back in the days, if Spain wanted to go from the Caribbean to the Pacific, they could get on the Caribbean, get to Panama, go through Panama by mule or by horse to get on the Pacific side. And they would be exposed to the pirates. So it was safer for them to come to Cartagena because Colombia has a river, Magdalena's River. It's 800 miles long and it goes from the Caribbean 800 miles into the country, close to the borders with Ecuador and Peru. So Spaniards brought Africans, and for 20 years, by hand, Africans drained a canal to join our inner bay to that navigable river. So they could come into a protected bay, go through a canal and access the river into the south. That river goes close to Ecuador, Peru. They could pick up the treasures and come back up. And they were through a river and they will not be attacked by anyone. It will be a safe access into South America. And that's why Cartagena became an economically active port. We didn't have many people. We only got a 7 miles walled city and everything was in there. We were not a big place. We were just a port. to stop, go through, pick up everything, come back up, go back to Europe. That's why for the economical activity of the port, we were attacked by the enemies of the crown, which were British and French. And this is something really interesting because I am a teacher. I used to work for 5 years for government schools. I don't do it since 10 years ago. But we learned at school that Spaniards were the less evil within the evils. And that we were so lucky to be a Spanish colony and not British or French, because those were the really bad guys. And since Spain was the one that wasn't here, we inherit a language and a religion, because we don't teach Inquisition since government schools are mainly Catholic. That's the point. And so we just learned that we were lucky. We call, still today, Colombian people call Spain the motherland. So all the enemies of the crown, who were British and French, were the bad guys, and we called them all pirates, which not all of them were pirates. Pirates were freelance workers. Let's say that you have galleons, you have your equipment, you attack my land, steal my treasure, you are a pirate. If you are a pirate but your nationality is French, then they will call you filibustier or filibuster. Then there was people selling food to the pirates in a wooden box called bucans. And when they got nothing to sell, they used to go with the pirates, and those were the buccaneers. And then, besides the buccaneers, we also have people that were hired by the crown, and as they get hired, they will get a letter where they are authorized to attack under their name, and those will be the privateers. So we got filibustiers, privateers, buccaneers, and pirates. They were all coming here. Robert Ball, Martin Cook, John Hawkins, and in 1586, Francis Drake. Drake, who was the best of England, he came here. He wasn't friendly to us. He took everything we had. He burned the city in fire, and then he left. That after Drake in 1586, Spaniards said, you know what? We need to fortify this place. So they brought Italian engineers and African slaves, more African slaves, to build up the walls. 7 miles of wall, fortifications on the bay, fortifications by land. It was 100 years that Spain dedicated all their energy to fortify Cartagena, to make it an extremely protected port. And they did. They built a lot of military infrastructure in these 100 years. But in 100 years that we were not attacked, they forgot to keep an army. And in 1697, we were attacked by the French. They didn't have enough people to fight, so the French came in, took over the city. Because when the French came, the Spaniards gave the weapons to African slaves and sent them to fight. Do you really think that an African is going to fight for them? No. We say, bonjour, go ahead and kill them all, who cares? You know, they were slaves. Why would they fight for the Spaniards? The French came in, took over the city, and we became French colony. The French were the only ones that defeated Spain in Cartagena after they had all the military infrastructure. I am not blonde hair with blue eyes telling you, bonjour, because most of them died with yellow fever, malaria. The weather conditions defeated the French, so they left and Spaniards came back. When Spaniards came back, they rebuilt everything. And they make sure that they got enough people for the next time. And of course there was a next time, and this next time was against England. Politics is a dirty game, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So after the French and Spaniards were killing each other, they got together to fight England, and they wanted the British to pay them taxes to go through the coast of Florida. And there was a British galleon led by Robert Jenkins that was sailing the coast of Florida, and he got stopped. And they told him, you gotta pay us taxes. The British people refused to pay the taxes to Spain, so the governor of Florida cut off his ear. and that developed the Robert Jenkins Ear War, which was basically England fighting Spain for their honor. And to fight, they sent the best they had, which was the Admiral Edward Vernon. Vernon was the best of England, and he was sent in 1741 to fight Spain in Cartagena. Everywhere he went, he was fighting and winning. And Vernon felt so confident that he would make it that he announced victory in advance before he came here. And the British government made a coin where they wrote, "The Spanish pride pulled down by Vernon 1741. They split the coin, celebrate their victory before they even got here. As Vernon got here, he said, you know what? Give me 9 hours and this is gonna be a British colony. He was supposed to take over the city in 9 hours. And with more than 22,000 people, he could have done it, but he made a mistake. He split the army, north, walled city, and south. The ones in the north, they didn't realize that Cartagena is divided in small islands. And in between the islands, we got a deep, large swamp and mangrove barriers. And behind the mangrove, we had batteries to shoot. They couldn't make it. The ones who came by the wall, around the wall, they left sedimentation. So when they got close, they got stuck. And the British were shot from the wall. The ones who came by the bay, they came where the cruise ship came in. We had a lot of fortifications in there. They were supposed to come in 9 hours, but a month later, England was still out of the bay fighting. British were running out of people, out of weapons, out of food. Spaniards were also getting weaker. Spain got everything they had, and they came to this fortress. And around the fortress, they made a moat. When the British got here, they couldn't get through the moat, and they got killed. If you're Vernon and you announce victory, and then you got defeated, what do you have to do for your dignity? Shoot yourself, right? Oh no, a British soldier will never shoot himself. They live another day to fight. So Vernon went back to England, where they never ever recognized that they were defeated. And with Vernon, we had Lawrence Washington, who was the half-brother of the U.S. Liberator on the side of his father. Lawrence go to North America, and the Washington brothers admire Vernon so much that they named their land after him. Mount Vernon in Virginia was named after the Admiral Edward Vernon, who couldn't make it in here, but he died as a hero over there. So we defeated the British from here. That was the last battle we had. After that, we just got our independence. And over there, you can see the statue of Blas de Lezo, who was the leader of the Spanish army that defeated the British. Church, Philip, in honor to Philip IV, who was the Spanish king when the fortress was built, and Barajas because the governor of the city came from the Barajas family. So to make everyone happy, they named it San Felipe de Barajas. All of this area is a hill, and they covered the hill with limestone. That's why when you have a look on the wall, it is not straight but inclined. So the wall gets supported on the hill, and if a cannonball shoot the wall, it ricochets. Right. Because this is a hill, if it rains, the hill absorbs water, and the pressure of the water in the land may break the walls. That's why along the walls in some specific areas, we have these holes on it. The holes on the wall are the drainage for the hill in the raining season. This fortress was built out of limestone. But you don't get to see most of it now because after the independence, the fortress became useless and it got full of garbage and vegetation. In the 1960s, we make the restoration and cover it with concrete, bricks, and coral reef. So most of what you see now is restoration materials. The fortress was built from 1657 till 1789. Dutch engineering. Yeah, here you can see some of the limestone. And over here you can see some of the concrete, the bricks, and the coral reef. That's part of the restoration. As we come up to the ramp, you find the first cannon upside down. In that cannon, they tied up a chain. And they throw the chain all the way down. When they get heavy stuff, they tie it up, put everything on the wooden cart and pull it up. Never lift up the weight, but slide it to the top. And the window on the back, it's part of the ventilation system of an underground tunnel system that they built up on the fortress. That's because we only go there today.
Hola!
Hola!
Welcome to Colombia! Welcome to Cartagena!
These two little tunnels in here were powder storage. And this fortress was built to save the city by land. That's why there are not cannons on this direction, but on the back. And that's why the powder storage was in here. Now it's a different kind of storage. It's the bathroom. On the way back to the bus, we will have a bathroom break. It's gonna be in about 10 minutes. Does someone have an emergency? No? Okay, we can go up and then I give you time for the bathroom.
Comandante!
And from the green building down to the tower of the church to the right, that was Calamari for the Spaniards and their children, the medium and high class. These two islands were also surrounded by the wall. When we got the independence from Spain, we lost the economical activity. And the activity of the port went down. Early 1900s, we had cholera. And the cholera killed the third part of the population. So people that had money were moving out of Cartagena towards Barranquilla. Barranquilla used to be part of Cartagena, but they grew up so much and they became so successful that they stay away from us now. Once the people started moving to Barranquilla and left the walled city alone, our government had the feeling that these old walls keep us stuck in the past. And to move forward, we have to bring investors with some tax benefits, tear down the wall and all of these old houses. They tore down 3 miles out of the 7 miles of wall we had. They make a landfill on the marge to build offices. And they were tearing down most of the colonial houses. 1948, Colombia gets into a wave of violence. My mom always says that bad things happen for good. Something so negative like the violence of a country make investors in 1948 to go away. 1986, Colombia was one of the most dangerous places on earth for Escobar, the cartels, and the guerrillas. In 1986, we got protected by UNESCO. So by 2000, that we started recovering, everything here is protected. Even those ugly buildings have to stay there. So because of the UNESCO declaration, everything here is safe now. So that's the old city. And this is the body of water, the estuary that goes all around. And this estuary separates the city into small islands. Now we're gonna go into the tunnels. This is the Cartagena's flag. I will show the Colombian flag as soon as I see it. In relation to the tunnels. Now we will go into the tunnel. There are no ghosts in there. And if there are, you must report it. we're gonna go into the tunnels. The tunnels are quite small. The Spaniards were short people. British and French were tall. So if they come here, we run faster than them. Okay, that was the idea. It has echo. The acoustic allows the communication between the soldiers. They used to have a secret password. So if you go in without saying the password, they will shoot you. Inside of the tunnels, they have some alcove. And on the alcove, there was always a soldier hiding. If you try to go in and you don't say the password, on the alcove, they will be hiding to shoot you. When you go inside, halfway to the right, there is a dead-end tunnel. So if you are looking for the enemy, for the soldiers, and you go down there, they will wait for you down there and shoot you from the inside. These tunnels were bomb resistant in a way that if you shoot a cannonball to the inside, the walls will not collapse. Yeah. So please watch your steps, mind your head. You can use your flashlight. It's gonna be not even a minute walk. We walk like really shortly to the exit. You can use your flashlight and
Oh yeah, I know it's fucking all.
It's so cool. It's super dark in
It's like
here.
4 o'clock, so it's not.
Oh my gosh, I really like this.
You just live in here?
Yeah.
It's very cool. It's nice and cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Connor. See, that's where the guy would be. Hiding the shoe.
Password.
His password.
This is kind of neat. Yes. You know these ones were used.
Yeah.
more time than life. I really want to go there. What's your head?
Check button.
Hey, I'm like, how long are we gonna be?
Well, it looks like we're coming out right now, but will it be at the top of the fortress now? What?
They were short and had long legs.
How
What's your head?
will I?
This is different than San Juan.
Because
Oh yeah, I have been in the one in the morning.
Exactly,
Yeah,
the double tunnels.
There are three characteristics. First, El Morro was built to save the city by the ocean. Second, soldiers used to live here. Here, soldiers never live. And also, that one is high. This
Right.
one is large and wide.
Just think about the tunnels because in Moro
Yeah.
they have double tunnels. They let the enemy in on one tunnel. Enemy thinks like we won, and
I
they
think
double
it
tunnel.
might-
Then
Yeah. It's so interesting. I have been there. I love Puerto Rico.
and the sound when
No,
one of
no,
these
I mean, I
cells,
think we're gonna go back down that way.
just listen to the ocean,
Yeah.
and unfortunately you're going to die there and starve to death and all that kind of stuff.
There.
Ya está bueno, ya está bueno.
Dale, mijo, no te preocupes. No te preocupes.
Un paso, ¿verdad, Vicky?
Americanito también.
Ya sabes que no encontré cositas donde se ponen las orejitas.
Oye, sí.
Cositas esas. Pero vale, me hace un favorcito ahí. Le pones una orejita al señor y le sirves este café. Ya. Pones la orejita ahí y le pones la...
Boy, that cute. Okay. Ay, un pocillito. Esto.
Pero quítale esto, mira.
Así, eso es lo que se está goteando.
Quítale eso. Eso.
She's thinking. Smells so good.
This is a regular coffee. In Colombia, the name this drink is a tinto. Tinto or regular coffee.
Dinko?
Tinto. This is the national drink. ¿Cierto? La bebida
And that's,
nacional.
we call coffee tinto. And also red wine, it's vino tinto.
Red wine. I call it nasty.
Esa es la bebida, ese es el tinto que esa es una degustación que le voy a dar.
Oh, it's a free degustation for the coffee.
And we got trees from Africa in this continent because Africans grow the seeds on the braids, and as they escape, they will plant it. So through the hair braiding, he communicated his people that he was ready to escape, and he did. He founded Palenque de San Basilio, which is the first town free of the Americas that still today keep the language and the culture. In that town, when someone is born, they cry because you come to this life to suffer. And if somebody died, they play a rhythm called lumbalu. They do a 9-night funeral. The first night, people will come to your home. The next day, you will be taken to the cemetery. They drop the body at the cemetery and everybody walks back to your home to lead the soul to your home. Yep. And so they will do a funeral for 9 nights. Each night represents 1 month you were on your mother's belly. And the last night, they will do a ritual with drums to liberate your soul. For the preservation of their culture, their language, their religion, and all their historical aspects, they are protected by UNESCO since 2005. So the ladies you see around the city, we call them palenqueras, and they come from that village and they make a living selling the pictures of their faces. Now these people were able to escape in 1603, but we kept slavery. And I try so hard to teach my kids that independence doesn't mean freedom. And people who got rid of Spain, they were not any better than Spaniards, and they kept slavery. And in 1852, we had a president that says, we should end slavery, but nobody really did it. It was until 1886 that we got this president that created the Union of Church and Government. He wrote the first Colombian constitution, and he wrote on it, every Colombian citizen have to be free. Slave trading becomes illegal. And if you are a slave in your country just for coming here, that will make you automatically free. And that's how we really deeply end slavery, 1886. For the creation of this Union of Church and Government, the church became in charge of the education. And that created in Colombia a stronger classism than racism. If I get off the bus and you hear somebody calling me negra, negrita, gordita, like we call people by their skin color, by their body size, by their body shape, by whatever they look like. Because you don't know their names, you just call them how they look. And we don't fight for it. Like if you say, gordita means fat. If they tell me gordita, if there is not a F word, it's not an insult. And I'm not slapping anybody's face. And if the men whistle at you or tell you, the way you shake it, that way you cook, I will eat all your food. You don't fight, there's no 9/11 that will come for you. You know, it's culture. Because we are all treated equal without caring your skin color. Here you are discriminated for being poor. And that's quite so common. And if you fight, you are alone in your fight. Yeah.
For the Santa Teresa's convent. This convent, after the independence, became a police station, and then it became a hotel, the Charleston Hotel. Okay? This square has a fountain that was donated by Barcelona Waters Company. They are the ones in charge of the water system in Cartagena. I think they donated because they feel guilty for the awful job they are doing with us. And they say, let's give us this fountain. That building on the back used to be the Jesuit community. After the independence, it became the Jesuit hospital, and today it's the Naval Museum. Used to live. This area is central, downtown, old city, the main colonial section during the colonial times. Back in the day, the Spaniards developed a type of architecture that you will recognize for two elements. One of them is the wooden balcony. Any time that you see a balcony made out of wood, that was built from 1533 until 1811. That's the colonial time. That's why we call it colonial architecture. Not only they have wooden balconies, but also some of them will have limestone at the entrance. After the independence, we modified our construction and we moved to a neoclassical style, more modern concrete like that one. And that was built after the independence, and we call it Republican architecture. On the arm, which means that he was Catholic. Once, Europeans used to say that Africans didn't have soul, and that's why they were treated like animals, because they had no soul. Once they got converted to Catholicism, they were still a slave, but they would bring them to the church. A lot of Africans were conversos. And that's where some of the religions, like Santeria, comes from, which is the fusion of Catholicism with African belief. And on the leg, he has a shackle. Have you ever heard that Africans were happy people because they were dancing and singing on the fields? That's what we teach here in school. That's part of the system that really pisses me off. Because why you don't teach them, like, you know, history is history. It's done. There's nothing we can do to change what is done. But what we focus on now to change our future. And if we had slavery, why don't you teach children what slavery was all about and reality about it? They had that shackle because Africans came to work on sugarcane fields. So they will put in the shackle, and this shackle was tied to a chain. And the chain was tied to a cannonball so they couldn't run away. And when Africans went on the field, and that theory comes because when they went on the fields, they didn't want to be there. They wanted to be home. To escape reality, they used to close their eyes and start singing and dancing. To escape reality, they were missing home. That was a way for them to protest against slavery. And Spaniards from the distance will say, oh, they are happy to be there, and that's what we deserve. But this rhythm they were singing on the fields to protest against slavery, it's called Kumbe. In African language, it's Kumbe, and the line of Kumbe in Africa means collective pain. And the Kumbe goes like this. And so you are dancing it like this. Because you got the shackle and the chain, you go like this. Kumbe got later as a word in Spanish as cumbia. And cumbia is Colombia's national rhythm. And it represents a slave on the fields asking for freedom. We don't learn that at school. When I was a child, here it's more important to dance than to read and write. That reading and writing, you can do it later, but the flow, you get it as you are young. So my auntie used to hit my leg here and say, put up your feet. And you are forced to dance cumbia like this, and you don't know what it means or why you are doing it. But you dance cumbia like that because it represents the Africans on the fields. The meaning of that word is collective pain. So now you know what's Colombia's national rhythm and why. Was born in Verdú, Spain in 1580. He got to Cartagena in 1610 at the age of 30, and he joined the Jesuit community. When we speak of the Catholic Church during the colonial times, suddenly we are speaking of a church that committed the most awful crimes for money. They did support the Inquisition, which was the use of the name of God to kill people and confiscate their wealth. So there were many things going on with the Catholic Church in here, and especially for their union with the Inquisition. This community is Jesuits. Back in the days, Jesuits, well, and you know that the Jesuit people are normally wealthy and well educated. Jesuit people were able to join the community with their money. They were more educators. They were more upper in society. So they didn't agree with many things that the church was doing, and they didn't have to tolerate it because they didn't need the money of the church to stay operating. They got in trouble many times with the Spaniards. They got kicked out of town, but they were the ones who owned the mines where the Spaniards were mining the limestone. So they were always able to return. Pedro Claver joined the Jesuit community, and as he saw the conditions that slaves were going through, he dedicated his life to take care of the Africans. He was giving everything he had for them. They used to ask him, why, if you can have, you know, a high-class life, if you can enjoy the best food, you are giving it to them, why you take care of them? And they said that he never answers anything. Just went up to his room and practiced self-flagellation. And from the outside, they hear him to scream, I am the slave of a slave. They said that inside of his body, he got the soul of a slave, and he is considered an early human rights defender. He died here in this building on September 8, 1654. Even though he died on September the 8th, we commemorate his death on September 9 because it is International Human Rights Day. So we got the Human Rights Office in Cartagena in this building in honor to him for being a saint in life. So this building, after 1888 that he got canonized, became a museum in honor to him. You can see how thick are the walls. This building is from the 1600s, and even though they were Jesuits, they will also be attacked by the enemies, so they got to protect their wealth in here. When this building became a museum, on that room, on that area, they opened a religious art collection. In here you will see paintings from the 16th, 17th, and 18th century. If you have more allergies, don't get in there because you know it's quite old, and the building and the paintings, you may start sneezing because of the mold smell. But if you are okay, you can just go through it. In this area, like when the Africans came here, they will walk through the building in this side. They will get in there where they will get baptized. Once you get baptized, you were born again in Jesus. You go through the wall and enter the church. I will give you time for you to go on the church. There are 4 things that you have to look at if you go into the church. Number 1, the altar piece. In a Catholic church, normally on the altar piece we got Jesus, Mary, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, or a cross. In this altar piece we have Pedro Claver. Not because he was Jesus, but he followed the life of Jesus by example. That's why they have Pedro Claver on the altar piece, surrounded with angels, showing that he was a saint in life. Number 2, on the bottom of the altar piece, it's his body. In 1888 that he got canonized, they took his body to the Vatican, then they brought him back, and you will see his skeleton on a crystal box. You can get close to the altar piece and take a picture of it if you would like to. Number 3, the balconies. There are so many theories for the balconies. Many, you can hear many versions. The one that I stick to is that back in the days, he brought the Africans. Wealthy people didn't want to mix with the Africans, so they went up. And back in those days, they believed that being higher up makes them being closer to God. They were closer to hell, but they thought they were closer to God, so they went up to the balconies. And number 4, look at the dome. And up on the higher parts, there's going to be a stained glass. This stained glass came from England, and it has images of Pedro Claver surrounded with Africans. Okay? This building is all Jesuits, still today.
Oh yeah, instantly.
That's where they were collecting the money of the taxes and bringing merchandise into town. That building today is the City Hall of Cartagena. In there you can see the flag that we saw at the fortress, yellow, green, and red, is Cartagena's flag. The one that has yellow, blue, and red is Colombia's flag. of our country. Blue is for the ocean, because we have two oceans, Caribbean and Pacific. We are the only country in South America with the two oceans. And red for the blood of people who died in the independence. And that's the national story. But there's another story that says that the man who made the flag fell in love with a woman. Her name was Catalina the Great from Russia. And she was really from Germany, but she ended up in Russia for marital reasons. And she was blonde hair, blue eyes, and red lips. And thanks to a woman, we got a flag in Colombia. Yay! Now, I don't know which version you want to stick to, but this flag is the same flag of Ecuador and Venezuela. Because after Simon Bolivar got rid of Spain and gave us the independence, he created the Great Colombia, which was Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, and Ecuador. But in 1830, Simon Bolivar died. And we couldn't organize our territories, and we lost Ecuador and Venezuela. Even though they separate from Colombia, they keep the same flag, just that Venezuela put in the star, and Ecuador added the coat of arms in the middle. And you know, like whatever Venezuela and Ecuador have, we have it too. That was a loss, but not the loss like Panama. Panama, shame on us that we let them go. And later we can talk about it because it's a long topic, but that's about the flag. In this area, we got a monument of Columbus. We don't celebrate Columbus Day because we feel that it's celebrating that somebody break into your home, take everything you have, make you their slave, and then you honor them. But our country is named after Colombia for Columbus. So we don't what we do. Something interesting about this monument of Columbus is that on the pedestal under his feet, like you see the Star of David on it, the guy who donated this sculpture, his name was Juan Bautista Mainero y Truco. He said that in the area of Italy where he came from, they said that Columbus was Jewish. And that's why he put the Star of David on it, and there are so many theories about it. On this square is where we had the hanging of the Inquisition back in the day. The roof of the balcony, right on the corner, it got tiles out. These tiles pointing out of the roof were given by the Inquisition to show that they were Catholic. So if you put the tiles out, you were Catholic, you were okay. If not, they send you to the Inquisition. And the door. You see the door that has a lot of buttons on it? The buttons on the door were given to show the wealth. With the door knocker, they show where the money of the family came from. So here you see a lion. Lion represents nobility within the family. If you see a fish, a mermaid, or something from the ocean, they were sailors, or they may have a fleet of galleys. And if you see a reptile, that's political power. Let's go into the Inquisition now.
No. I don't think so.
Was established in Cartagena in 1610. The Inquisition was the use of the name of God to persecute and kill people and confiscate their wealth. Really soon after the foundation of the city, most of the trading of merchandise was done by Jewish. And there are... ¿Quiere pasar adelante? Gracias. And there are theories that says that Columbus was Jewish, and this is quite a controversy. Like, in one side, you will not think that Columbus was Jewish because his second marriage was to a woman whose father was part of the Inquisition, and the cousin of his father-in-law was the stronger inquisitor we had in Cartagena. So if you're Jewish, you're not gonna marry to someone who is part of the Inquisition. But on the other hand, Jewish people in areas where they came, they were conversos. And to hide, they will overeat pork to get people's attention away from them. So maybe he wasn't, but maybe he married her to get people's attention away from him. Whether he was Jewish or not, the truth is that he gave a hand at some point to them. 1492, when Jewish Sephardi was kicked out of Europe, Columbus got to the Americas. And with his family journeys and his journeys explains all the number of Jewish people coming down here. If you go to Curaçao, they have the oldest Jewish temple of this part of the world. And Cartagena got founded in 1533. Really soon after the foundation, most of the trading of merchandise was done by Jewish. That's why the Inquisition was needed. Because if you kill the one that have the business, you keep the business. And you do it under the name of God. So you were evil, your money was evil, but if they kill you, they will confiscate your wealth. And in their hands, it turns into holy money. And that's how the Inquisition became so powerful here. If you come to this room, in this chamber, look at this picture. Look at the fear of people waiting to be processed at the Inquisition stages back here. They say that women, according to the age, was the weight. If you were big, you got the devil inside. If you were skinny, you could fly like a witch. Here they get your weight and they will give you what they consider that you deserve. And they also believe that women were witches because you could pray some prayers that were not Catholic. You are together, right? Yes. You give me legal permission for the example?
No.
Yeah.
She say yes. She say yes. If she say yes, that's a yes. What's your name, my lady?
Margaret.
So Margaret, I will call you Frank. So
Michael. Okay.
No, Frank. So Frank is Margaret's husband. But Frank has 5 girlfriends in the neighborhood.
Oh,
He's playing around.
That's not happening.
But Margaret loved him so much that she wanted him just for her. And she will look for a witch and hire a witch. I'm gonna be your witch, my dear. So we pray on his name by saying, with 2 eyes I see you, 5 fingers I tie you up. Your blood I will drink, your heart I take apart. You will love her till you die. And if you see other ladies you will not like, after that you stick to her forever.
That's right.
Now, if that Michael doesn't change his behavior, we send him to the Inquisition. And at the Inquisition, for unfaithful men, they got a table called the rack. On the rack, they will tie his arms, his legs, and his toe, and stretch his body and get his member off. Yes.
Lord.
Not for Margaret, not for no one. But if he realizes that we are witches, for women, they get this. They have this metal tool, and this metal tool will be on fire. Once it's burning, they crush your breast and take it off.
Oh my God.
They started with the early mammograms.
No.
Yeah, they used to have that metal necklaces. They got the head smasher, finger smasher. They persecute everything that they considered that wasn't Catholic and whoever that was not supportive. One of the common tortures that they have was to tie your hands on the back. Once they tie your hands on the back, they pull you up. You are up high with your hands tied on the back. They release the chain and you are falling. And before you touch the ground, they pull you up again. So you will be going down and up with your arms like this till they take off your arms from your body. In the name of God. Here you can see the Inquisition in America. That's the Inquisition in America. They were in Mexico, Cartagena, and Lima. As they came here, so this is the different steps that they will follow. First, you have to be reported. Margaret and I, where's Margaret? Margaret and I will live in the same street. Margie, come back to me. Okay, Margie's here. Margaret and I will live in the same street. And I don't have a reason, but I just hate her.
You hate me?
Yeah. I write a letter. Margaret is a witch. I sold her to flight. I put this paper on a window here. This paper will be taken to the Dominicos church, and the Dominicos will classificate if you should be called or not. And obviously, if the church is the one that says if you should be called or not, they will take into account how supportive you were. If you were not that supportive, Margaret will get an appointment. At this point, you could exit the process alive. You could say, yes, I am a witch, I fly around, I turn people into animals, and I do awful things. But you know what? It's out of my control. I don't want to be like that. I want to convert. And to prove my conversion, here is my donation. Because they believe in purification through pain, you got 200 lashes, but you will stay alive. But if at this point you say, no, I am not a witch, and I am not taking those charges, and I am not giving you anything, and I am not a witch, and I don't play around, then they will take you into an interrogatory. At this point, whatever you answer will be wrong. If they say light blue and you say blue, they will torture you. Once they torture you, they will make you to confess. If you confess, you die. If you don't confess, you die too. And that's what it is. Yeah.
Oh my God.
They process within 200 years, 900 people. And the Inquisition was here until the independence. We kicked them out in 1811, but the last Inquisitor left the city in 1821. People that gave us the independence, like Simon Bolivar, wasn't Catholic, he was Mason. But the agreement was to get help from the church so they could stay. And then Núñez was the one who created the Union of Church and Government. And that Constitution of 1886, where we created the Union of Church and Government, only ended in 1991. Wow. After that, government took control of the education. That's why I am the first generation in my family to be educated, because before that, it was a privilege for rich people. After that, the government separated the power. We got freedom of religion. And even though there is freedom of religion, government schools are still Catholic. And something, as a government school teacher and as someone that went to the government school, the education system of the government is created to keep poor people poor. Because they satanize money. Because if you have money, you have to give it to the church, because Jesus said, give the money and follow me. Because they misunderstand the concept of being humble with being poor. And it's quite complicated, but they have still a lot of power on government decisions. And that's why in 2021 was so complicated to allow abortion in Colombia. It is not because so many women during COVID were dying in illegal clinics, they wouldn't done it. Torture and killing was taking place. Torture and mass and killing had to be done in public to create psychological punishment and make people to think it twice before they were not supportive to the church. So most of this was done on this building. That tree is a couple of 100 years old.